Beautiful, beautiful.
Thank
Congratulations
you.
again.
Thank
I
you
can't
so
wait
much.
to see your
bundles
of joy.
Thank you.
Good morning, Rufy on fire. How are you this morning? All right, perfect. It's Friday. Well, all right. Good morning to you, viewers. Let's begin what's trending in Niger State, where a video featuring the state's governor, Mohammed Umar Bago, defiantly stating that he will continue to borrow money to fund infrastructural projects, even if it meant selling Niger State. Governor Bago made the comments during a stakeholders meeting on August 11th in the Tafa, Gwora, and Suleja local government areas. His remarks came amid growing public concern and online criticism over the state's financial management, with residents questioning whether his administration has been secretly securing loans. Well, let's take a look at the video, which has now gone viral, before we come back for a discussion.
Hanyar maji har mai da nema abin min nasu. To zan jin siyar da Niger man samu kudin gina Niger na ruwan. Wani nake ciwon kai, wani ke sha mun Panadol. Bari ran da zan bar kujeran gwamna rai da lafiya bayan shekara na 8 a gwamna. A lokacin zan kawo certificate da ta jihar Niger abin da na same ku ga abin da zan muku don ba zan ku da bashi. Allahu Akbar.
These comments have gone viral. Like I said, it's, he made the comments August 11, but it's circulating now because of, residents questioning what the debt profile is, and quite controversial. In addition to the comment about funding, the governor also took the time to defend his administration's handling of Niger State's infrastructure, addressing his critics. He said, and I quote, "They said schools, hospitals, and roads have gone bad. It is my administration's responsibility for it. Or aren't we just repairing what we met?" And I'll take this tweet. And this person on X wrote, "Public funds are the people's business. Niger isn't your private estate to sell. Governance demands accountability, not arrogance. You are elected to manage resources transparently, not boast about borrowing or selling the state. Niger people deserve respect, not mockery." Well, Daniel Rega wrote, "A governor is a public servant. He's not a sovereign and has no right to talk down on people who question him or his government. The Niger State governor should have that in mind. He can't do with the state as he sees fit. He's been in the news lately for nothing but disappointing remarks." Governor Bago also made headlines earlier this month when he ordered the shutdown of the Badegi radio, and I sent you that story in Mina, citing public incitement. He later approached the Niger State High Court to settle with the station. Rufai, I know I sent you this story, but this is quite appalling. Yeah. And before I read, the depth profile, I like your comment on his statement earlier, and of course also tie it in with the radio station really quickly, because I know that you do own a radio. You work with the radio as well.
No. See, it's a very sad one what he did with Badega FM, yes. And I'm happy to everybody that stood up to Mr. Bago. Trying to shut down a radio station because you don't like their criticism is the height of, I don't know what to call it, dictatorship. We are not here for you to agree with us. If Bago feels very pained about Badega FM not saying what he likes, with due respect, I'm sure the Niger State government have their own radio station. He should tune to their own radio station alone and be listening there. There's freedom of thought, speech, and opinion. And I'm happy that Badega took him up. In fact, he went ahead saying I wanted to demolish the radio station. And that's the height of a lot of things he does. Secondly, now him going ahead and saying that he will ask for debt ad infinitum. Please, somebody should remember, remind us. Somebody should remember, so somebody that said, remember me something.
Remember me something. Oh, I think I know. Yes, I know.
Somebody should remind him.
Yes.
That, like he goes ahead to do excessive borrowing. They will call him back many years after he's finished serving. Yeah. There are people that 20 years after they are serving, EFCC is still calling them. Like he should go and borrow what he cannot sustain. They will call it, Oloruko, he has a name. They will call his name and he will come and account for the borrowing. What kind of recklessness
I've never heard
is
anything
Farmer
like
Bago talking about? And he's happy. He's saying he doesn't do anywhere.
Let me read
recklessness of the highest order.
Let me read the debt profile. Well, according to the Debt Management Office, Niger State had an increase of 57.68 billion naira debt year on year, moving from 86 billion naira in Q1 of 2024 to 143 billion naira in Q1 of 2025. You know, that's a 67% rise. This rise comes despite the significant rises in revenue allocations from the Federal Account Allocation Committee, fueled by rising oil prices, gains from the Naira, Dr. Abati, devaluation, and of course, revenue freed up from petrol subsidy removal. The governors are getting more funds, and he's talking about borrowing. Let Dr. Abati go this time.
Let us dimension the issues. Now, President, I said President, well, maybe he wants to become President one someday. Farmer Bago, the governor of Niger State, he was having what they call a stakeholder engagement meeting.
Yes.
The whole idea of a stakeholder engagement meeting in itself is to get feedback from the people in terms of the needs of the people, in terms of their responses to the performance of the government. And it was on that occasion that I think the question was raised about how much loan the state is taking and the state of infrastructure in the state. With regard to loans, the governor said he has not borrowed any money, and that in any case, if they are going to ask him a question about whether he's borrowing or not, because if need arises for him to borrow, he will borrow. They should wait for when he completes his term.
Yes.
And then they can ask him questions. Well, there's nothing in the Constitution that says there is a particular time when the people can ask you questions. Now, that's why we have a House of Assembly, which does oversight. And the House of Assembly is supposed to ask questions. That's why budgets are taken as proposals to the House of Assembly and is debated before it becomes an appropriation law in the particular state. The second issue that came up was about infrastructure.
Yes.
People were talking about schools. And then the governor reportedly said that, well, why are you taking Panadol for my own headache? That he did not create the condition of those schools. That those schools have been in very deplorable condition. And that in itself is a statement of fact. Okay. And that what his administration has been doing is to fix those schools, fix the roads that have not been taken care of for almost 25 years in Niger State. Now, those are the two issues. But I think that where we can have an issue with him is when he says, wait till I finish my 8 years before you come and ask me. There's no law that says the people cannot ask questions at any particular time. And the governor is under obligation to respond to them. However, we know that Governor Bago, Farmer Bago, is one of those governors that we used to celebrate on this table for two reasons. For his dedication to the promotion of religious harmony.
Yes, we have hailed him a lot.
Yes, and he has done a lot in that regard. Second, his commitment to agriculture, using agricultural lands, collaborating with states like Lagos and Zamfara, to make sure that the state, Niger State, becomes, a basket, a food basket properly for the country. But he's right when he says many of these are inherited problems. But the expectation of the people, either in Niger State or at the federal level, is that the people are impatient.
This is it.
And that is why they ask questions. And at any time that they raise questions or ask questions, as long as it cannot be established that those questions are politically motivated, partisan, or presented out of utter mischief, which is a major element of Nigerian politics, the state government and the governor has an obligation to continue to explain to the people.
And they have to explain
in the right manner. And they must never get tired of explaining to the people.
Right, that's the main point. Just for them to be able to explain in the right manner. As a public office holder, your responsibility is to explain to your people. You're accountable to your people. I'll take this story now. We'll take another story on the legal developments. Former presidential candidate Peter Obi has taken legal action against activist Deji Adeyanju following a series of public accusations. Peter Obi's lawyers, in a notice, demanded a retraction and an apology from Adeyanju for what Obi's lawyers call defamatory publications. It states that Adeyanju has repeatedly published false and malicious statements designed to injure Obi's reputation, both in Nigeria and abroad, including an accusation that Obi invested state funds into a family-owned company during his tenure as governor. The legal notice specifically cites a social media post from August 21st, 2025, in which Adeyanju allegedly claimed that Peter Obi could only be president of the obedience on social media and that his supporters represent political extremists. Well, in a defiant response on Facebook, Adeyanju publicly dismissed Peter Obi's legal threat as laughable, expressing his eagerness to confront him in court while reiterating his previous claims. A lawyer, he continues with the defamatory statements on his social media account. We know that the legal battle intensifies a long-standing public dispute between the two parties, which began when Adeyanju had previously sued one of Peter Obi's aides for alleged defamation against his wife. I'll take some tweets before I come to you, Ion. This is from Pato, who wrote on X: when you shift from insults and criticisms to making categorical allegations about someone offering you a bribe, it goes beyond mere critique and becomes a serious accusation. Deji is not just any random social media user. He boasts about his 25 years of activism and is now a lawyer. He should recognize the difference between hypothetical and categorical statements when making the former, especially regarding an allegation of bribery. One must be prepared to substantiate the claim. Furthermore, Deji personally requested this. He publicly expressed his desire for it. As a lawyer, he has the skills to officially write to the anti-corruption agencies with a comprehensive petition if he was convinced that any actions taken by Obi in office constituted an act of corruption. Yet, he didn't do that. Instead, he wakes up every day throwing around all manner of categorical statements about acts of corruption. Another Twitter user wrote, "This case will really test the line between free speech and protecting someone's name. If Obi feels his image has been damaged, the court is the right place to sort it out." At the same time, activists and politicians both need to be careful with their words, like I said earlier. The truth will show in court. I hope justice will be upheld.
I think that last statement, that last sentence is the most important, one of the most important things made in terms of, I hope that justice will be held. And we've talked about the justice system in Nigeria. Sometimes it's said to favor a particular class to the other. But I want to hope, and I believe, because we must uphold our institutions, that's the only recourse we have. Dr. Bati had mentioned earlier on that you cannot resort to self-help. You have to approach the court. So we hope that the court will follow due process and really be the bastion of justice. But let me talk about this case. And I think it's important that Mr. Peter Obi has taken this step. I'm not the court. I cannot determine whether or not Mr. Adeyanju's statements was defamatory. He would have to prove himself or prove the accusations that he has made on his X account in court beyond reasonable doubt. But we have had so many instances where, whether it be activists or surrogates or people who have been paid by a political party or a person, a political figure, come out to make spurious statements online defaming individuals or personalities. And usually people will just say, turn the other cheek, this is politics, you know how it is, anything happens, people can say what they like. But after a while, it is important to actually make an example of certain people when they make careless statements or put out careless thoughts like this out there. We might think it's an innocent, it's political jabs, but Mr. Adeyanju is an influential figure. And there are many gullible people who would go online and read certain things and accept it as the word. It is important when you make statements like this to be able to back it up with proof and not just come out because you have a computer and you have access to the internet to make statements. It's not just Adeyanju who does this. A number of people, faceless, just come out and make many kinds of statements. I believe that if indeed he's able to go to court and is unable to prove this statement, and he's made an example, perhaps he will teach a lesson to a lot of people who come out and just take on a figure and spew words, spew lies, talk about things, and expect that in the spirit of magnanimity, you would overlook it and just move on to the next. I hope to see the end of this case, and if found guilty, I hope Adeyanju faces the law. If he's not found guilty, then Mr. Peter Obi owes the people an explanation and an apology.
The truth about the thing with this Obi thing is, see, Ayo, with due respect, this one lawsuit will not change anything. You know what they always hide under? The fact that the procedure to prove a case of defamation is very long. And when you take somebody to court, the onus, pretty much will fall on you. So it's a very long-ended process, and they act on that to do it. But you see, I'm not surprised. You have a lot of government officials, people that have been paid with our taxpayers' money, also defaming people's spokesmen. Yeah. That's the society. But you see the hypocrisy about all of this is the same government officials that are calling for the social media space to be sanitized. Yeah. They are the ones that are using it to defame people, which we have empirical proof.
Dr. Mati, there is a Cybercrime Act law that has just been passed recently.
In fact, that cybercrime rule, I know a government spokesman that has violated that. If I'm to activate the cybercrime rule today, the cybercrime law, but nothing will be done. So what I've come to listen to them is see. So what I've come to say, if I can advise you, Mr. Peter Obi, with due respect, withdraw that case from court. Do not give anybody any chance to look very influential more than they are, because it's a waste of your time. Don't glorify them. Wait, Ayo. As of today, Adeyanju is on channel. He went on channels to talk about that in this morning. So don't glorify these people. Just ignore. It's public space. They will say things against you. If you can't stand it, you don't get education. Mr. Peter Obi, why withdraw that case? They will say things against you. You just let it go.
All right. That's your thoughts.
The principles must be properly stated. Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution guarantees the freedom of expression. But under our jurisprudence, it must be recognized that no right is absolute under the Constitution. The fact that you have the right to express yourself does not give you the right to defame people, because the other citizen has the right to the dignity of the human person under Section 33 of the same, Section 34 of the same Constitution. So he who alleges
must prove.
Must prove.
All right.
That's the basic principle. And Mr. Peter Obi going into politics does not mean that he has surrendered his right to the dignity of the human person. He has every right to go to court to challenge anybody who defames him. It's for that person to prove. The fact that you are a lawyer or that you are an activist does not grant you immunity.
This is it.
Section 308 of the 1999 Constitution is very specific about the persons who are entitled to immunity. And the Cybercrime Act that you refer to is controversial. They say police abuse it and all of that. But Section 14 of it is also clear. You cannot use electronic devices to defame people by hiding under anonymity. I think that we have to test our laws.
This is it.
With regard to defamation and to other laws, so that people do not think that they have absolute rights. Nobody has absolute rights.
All right.
The only defense that is available to you is justification, which is truth. The only defense also is absence of malice.
All right.
So we have to keep testing these laws.
I love that.
So that people don't just go on social media and talk about people, or they just carry microphone and they talk about people.
We don't need an example.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes.
With the things they've said about you, how many have you tested?
Well, no, that's why he's saying that.
Please, let me ask him a question.
We're not.
How many have you tested?
No.
And why have you not tested it?
We are not personalizing it.
Yes.
This is a basic principle of law.
Dr. Abati.
No.
No. Well, that's your opinion.
It is up to the person that has been defamed to say. It's not there's no compulsion in the Nigerian Constitution or any of our statutes. It's for you to decide that, okay, I want to fight this matter, and you pursue it.
Well said.
To say somebody should not defend his right, no, we shouldn't go that way. So it's about principle.
Great. I like that point as well. We have to test the law. Let's head over to Osun State now for a story of divine encounter and life-changing opportunity. On Thursday, during the rousing welcome of Osun workers, Governor Ademola Adeleke spotted a young lady, simply known as Ned, dancing in the crowd with a transport bowl of puff puff. Intrigued, the governor called her closer